life you have provided to us. We thank you for Spotify Uganda, the ICT Teachers Association, and the teachers who are teaching us, oh God. We thank you for providing life to them also. The teacher who has come to teach us, oh God, bless him, give him the knowledge and wisdom so that it can put into us so that when we are in for the examination, we can at least write something down, oh God, Father. Come and be with us from the beginning to the end of this lesson, oh God, Father. Bless us, make us understand what we will be putting into us. I pray all this believe we have heard in Jesus Christ our Lord, I pray. Amen.
Amen. That prayer was healing. That prayer was refreshing, and we thank you for that. So because of time, I will not be able to go through certain things the way I would have, but straight away, I want us to look at composition writing. We are going to look at composition writing. When you look at composition writing, the word composition comes from the word to compose. Or maybe before I give you my words, I want to hear from you. What does the word composition, or what did your teacher tell you composition is? Because I've realized we did not really go through most of them. We have been so much into section A, which is also a good thing because we needed to cover a wide range. So can someone tell me what composition means, or where does it come from? Which word? What do we mean by composition writing? Those are things I need to hear from you. Yes, by show of hands. By show of hands. And what did your teacher tell you? We are now introducing section B. What did your teachers tell you about section B? What is done in section B? That is where we are today. Lena. Yes, Lena?
So let me try.
I would like people who try.
It's like when you compose something and out of your own making, you write a story.
I beg your pardon?
Like out of someone else's thinking, then you compose a story and write.
So what is to compose?
Is to create or make something of your own.
Making something of your own.
Okay, making something of your own, that's a good try. Let us have another try. That's a good one. Rachel? Yes, Rachel?
Okay, teacher, composition comes from the word to compose and from the word compose and then
Propose?
Compose.
Compose, yeah.
And I think it means like to come up with something of your own, like to be creative. Creativity. Yeah, that's all I have. I've just tried.
That's a very good try. You've actually hit the jackpot. It is so not to waste a lot of time because I'd already taken some time. I want us to straight away to go and look at what composition writing is, and we all agree that the word composition comes from the word to compose. Composition comes from the word to compose, and to compose is to make. To compose is to make. So when you make something or when you create something, you have come up with something. Therefore, compositional essay is a piece of continuous writing, logically organized to express ideas, feelings, or one's opinion about a particular topic or subject. It means there is no way you'll wake up one day to write when you do not have a topic. I want to be able to underline key things. Let me begin from up. Comes from the word to compose, and to compose means to create. So therefore we define it as a piece of continual writing logically. I'm interested in these words. Let me undo this shortly. Logically organized to express ideas, feelings, and one's opinion. So it means when we write, but on a particular topic or subject. These are the things I've underlined are very important. I hope you can hear me. Are we together, my children?
Yes, teacher.
Teacher.
Okay. All right. So when you're creating your stories, as we shall look at in the future, you are supposed to compose to come up with them, and they should be organized in such a way that they are logical. To be logical means you are ordered and sequential, or rather, you are putting your ideas in such a way that you are organized, not jumbling them. And it should be able to make meaning. Don't write a story and in your story, a baby of 1 day is carrying a tank of 500 liters of water, or an old woman of 90 or 100 is shifting a mountain, you know? So that's what we say logical. Your story should be able to, it's something we should be able to relate to. I hope that makes sense. It should be something students and learners should be able to relate to. That is the logical bit. And then also it should be organized. Something should make sense. If you tell us she woke up in the morning, that one we shall believe you. But if for you, your food is being served, maybe in the toilet, in your story, and then a person wakes up, maybe every day they sleep. Does someone answer something? Does someone answer something? Okay, so there should be logical arrangement of ideology, so you can express your ideas over a subject. You can express a subject ideas on a subject or a topic. So you tell us your opinions. If you're writing a story about a girl child or rape or farming, you can express your ideas. You can express your feelings, and that's how we come up with the different topics of discussion. Most of the stories are told in such a way of love. Most of your stories are lovey. There are these lovey-dovey stories. Perhaps I could be able to, the common topics. So you can find their feelings you're expressing or your opinion on a subject. So you can compose a piece of writing on any of those. However, there can never be a writing without a topic or a subject. So that's how I can define it for it to make sense to you, that composition is a piece of continuous writing, logically organized to express ideas, feelings, or one's opinion on a particular subject or topic. Anzoa even has added another one. It is a piece of writing that is original and created by the writer. That can also help us to understand what it is. Thank you, Anzoa. Okay, next. I'll first get done with these other attenuations of mine. Clear all. So every composition has 3 basic parts. Every composition has an introduction. This one, every composition has an introduction. Every composition has a body. Every composition has a conclusion. Just like if you talk about your stories, your story, my life, your life has an introduction. When you were born can be the introduction of your life. If you're writing your life's history, we would talk about where you were born, when you were born, who are your parents, blah, blah, blah. That is now the introduction. The body, now the things in the introduction are growing, they're expanding, real things, your education, your marriage life, all those now can be put under the body. And then your conclusion, maybe your retirement, your death. I'm just giving that example. However, we shall look at it further. So every story has three parts: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. So I usually prefer to draw something like this to illustrate. I prefer drawing this. Then I will label. I'll call this number 1. I'll call this 2. And then I'll call this 3. There are other words that can come here. So this is number 1. This is where we can have the introduction. What happens in the introduction? That's what we are going to look at in the next part. What is in our introduction? We're going to look at it in the next part. And then perhaps I can be able to elaborate. What is found under introduction? It introduces the characters. If you are going to write a story about the student who stole the teacher's handbag, that is my story. I want to write about the teacher's stolen handbag, for example. That is the title of my story. I will write and say this, the teacher's or the stolen handbag. That is my title. Then I come down to my introduction. I'm going to introduce perhaps the characters that are in my story. Not even perhaps, I must introduce my characters. That is the teacher or the owner of the bag. Maybe I can even hint on the thieves under characters, introduction of the characters. We are still in the introduction. And remember, a story that is good must have an organized introduction, which is captivating. To captivate is to win the hearts of your readers. You must be able to do that in the introduction. If you do not entice the reader in your introduction, then you are most likely not to have a reader at all. Because people have one problem. Africans hate reading. So when you find that your story is boring from the introduction, someone will dodge to read it. So make sure that your introduction is interesting. So this should be captivating to arouse the reader's interest. So it introduces the characters I've already told you. Please don't have very many characters in your story. Make sure your story has at most 4 characters, because each character must be developed. You must talk about them. So the more the characters, the longer the story. You can just have 2 characters doing most of the things. Then just maybe 1 character or 2 support characters, but don't have very many characters doing different things. Your story will grow very big. Then the action. Introduction also brings in the action. One may start by describing an action. For example, I frantically rummaged. Okay, the action here is now the activity done by the characters. If it is the teacher, you will say, the teacher carefully tucked in her handbag into the wardrobe, or placed her handbag halfway or peepingly into the wardrobe. That is now the action. We must see an action in that very introduction. Claire had put up her hand, then she took off. Yes, Daniela? Yes, Daniela? Okay, off and on. So I say here in your introduction, must bring an action. Tell us what the main character is doing. Were you crying? Was the main character crying? Then you will tell us, the tears in my eyes had blurred my vision, or they had distorted my vision. So you must tell us that action. Are people running? Are the main characters running? Are they chasing after something? You bring them in the introduction. You must start by giving us an introduction. Then it must also have speech, or a dialogue, or a conversation. There should be someone talking. For example, one may start a speech or a dialogue connected to the topic. Maybe after the teacher placing her handbag, she will say that, for example, she'll say, but most of the times people's handbags are stolen here. Let me risk, since I have no any other place to put my handbag. Now that is direct speech. You quote those words so you can bring the topic there. I mean the speech pattern there, or you must introduce the speech. Then the theme. I have already mentioned the theme when I was giving it the speech. The theme is the main topic that you're going to discuss. Theft. It could be crime. It could be love. It could be adventure. It could be evil versus good. All those. It could be a horror. You bring the theme here immediately. So here we start with the subject matter right away. In your introduction, in stories, we can also call the theme a conflict, something that makes your plot to grow. What is this character chasing after? What is the teacher afraid of? That becomes your theme. What is everyone talking about? That becomes the theme. So it must also be put in our introduction. Are we understanding up to this point? Hello, class. Are we understanding?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Okay. That is good. So I can proceed peacefully. I thought I was talking to myself. Virunji. Yes, Virunji.
Teacher, I'm requesting for your pardon on the introduction of characters.
We said the characters here, the ones that are going to take part in your story, must be introduced instantly. Don't wait to bring them later on. We shall be asking ourselves, what is happening? For example, those who do literature, when was Adu introduced? Anyone who does literature here, when are characters, main characters usually introduced? In the very first chapter, which is now the introduction of the novel, you will find the main characters have been already highlighted. The family of Adu is all mentioned in the very first chapter. So what are we saying here? You must introduce your characters, and don't write very many characters. Simply give us a few characters. Whenever you have very many characters, it is hard for you to grow your title. Rather, it is very hard for you to grow your story. It will become too big for you to conclude. Your story will become bigger than you, and therefore it will affect you. Are we together? So let us make sure we are in such a way presenting only main characters, the major ones. They should not exceed even 4. Have only at least 2 main characters. The rest, even you can have 1 major character, then the rest are support characters. For example, if you're writing about a love story, only talk about her or him. Don't talk about one girl, another girl, the other girl, you will be confused. Liam. Liam,
Yes,
your hand is
teacher.
up.
Yes, teacher. I'm asking of all this, what
Beg
you've
your
listed,
pardon?
is it a must? Yes, teacher. According to your screen, where you're saying introduce the characters, action, speech, theme, and opinion. In my introduction, is it a must that all of them should be there, or I should just choose 1 or 2? What I decide to put in my introduction.
Not choose 1 or 2. We are saying a good introduction should contain that, a good one. Are we together? Because
Yes,
in so doing, you have been, for example, you cannot have an introduction without main characters, without the main action, without speech. For example, maybe you could leave out the speech, but speech helps you to introduce the theme. These work hand in hand to supplement one another. Then opinion, this is now you writing. Because usually when you're writing, you find that you are part of your story. Here you give your personal view on the subject. So some of these you might find that your opinion is optional once in a while somewhere. However, you will be inclined, sometimes to have a good proverb or idiom. If you're writing about theft or someone being caught after stealing, you say, the days of a thief are numbered. That can be a famous quotation, or a famous proverb or idiom. So that's what we're saying, that a good introduction should contain this. I am just giving you such an highlight of what good things look like. So when you say, is it a must? I would say it is recommended. And let it be natural. Don't force it to come. And then another thing I want to say, when we're writing our stories, please don't force stories to exist. Sometimes when we are writing, we write other people's stories. We write personal stories. We write what we see. We write what we read about. However, here, I encourage us to be original. Don't write for me a movie you have watched. We can know that this story is bigger than you. Because even those movies, there is not one single director. So the plot of that movie is too big for you as a Form 3 student. Despite having been in Senior 3 for 2 years, you might not be as big as your story. Your story will be bigger than you. So do not copy and paste stories from net. Try to compose your own stories. That's why we said composition, to compose, to create. That is my emphasis. Then I go to the next part after the introduction. So that is what I can have for introduction. Then I go to the body. What is here? What is the body? This conveys the main details of the story depending on the nature of the story. If I have already introduced my character in the beginning, for example, in my introduction, I have introduced my character. Maybe the character is in the name of, maybe is under the name of, just a minute. Sorry, I'm in a noisy place. Let me try to relocate. Just sorry, I'm also in a noisy place here, so once in a while. So I've said if I've already introduced my main character as angel or princess is my main character, and my theme there is love. I'm chasing after this princess, yeah? And then maybe under my opinion, we have common proverbs about beauty, that they say beauty lies in the hands of the beholder. Yeah, I have already made my introduction. I've declared my theme is I'm chasing after her. And then maybe I'm now writing under speech, maybe somewhere I put my opinion and say, the day she becomes my wife, my world would have started. As per now, I am lost in oblivion. I have managed to introduce my essay. Then I now go to my body. Now in my body, I will have to express or bring out all the different ways I try to win her heart. For example, if you're trying to win someone's heart, let me pick on Liam here. Liam is the only gentleman I know here for now. Maybe any other gentleman. Liam, if you're trying to chase someone, you want to win their heart, what would you do first? If your parents are at home, tell them we are learning, they should not beat you.
But they are all here.
If they are hearing, tell them the teacher is using me as a good example. Let them hear your game. I want your parents to know your game.
So, okay, what I would do first, I would first of all try to talk to them. I would give them gifts. I would try to be nice to them. I would try to be as friendly as possible. And yes, I think that's what I would do.
Good. I will take that. Now let me go to Rachel. Rachel wants to tell us. Rachel, if someone was to win your heart, what are those things that they would do and you feel like, yes, he has taken my heart? If your parent is near there, tell him that we are studying.
Okay. Like when he tries to show me like he loves me, he he calls me, like when we are far, he calls me every day and talks to me, he greets me, like that, and he buys me some things, some nice things.
Bucket listing is very big. Okay, Rachel, thank you. There is a Chinese here in the name of Junjiang. I don't know if I'm supposed to. Junjiang.
If you're to win me over, you could buy me gifts.
I expected to hear Chinese speaking. I'm now hearing a different. Is that Chinese or Indian?
I'm half Chinese.
Okay.
I would expect you to buy me some gifts, take me outing, do me everything that I want, give me everything I ask for, and also try to act in a common understanding with me. Yeah.
Liam, you're not going to win any soul because for you are just saying I would try. These people want people who do it. However, as we leave that bit of trying, Liam, it's okay, don't worry. As we run around with that, so even in your story, what would be your first step? For example, Liam says, rather Rachel said you should call me, but you have not yet gotten her number. So the best story would start when you have not yet gotten her number. Then the first step is the struggle to get her number. The second thing is you have got her number, you are now texting or you're calling each other. You're bridging the gap. You're getting closer through that. Then outings start until the day, for example, you propose. Now, that's what we call logical presentation. Not saying I met the girl in the morning, the next day we were at our place. That does not sound like a normal girl. I know those girls exist, but that is not a decent woman. If you're dealing with a decent woman, it would mean you'd meet her Like, is it Jean has said, she wants first common understanding. Common understanding does not come overnight. It comes after a period of time. Please, I'm not teaching you how to date. I am teaching you how to arrange a story. For those who have just logged in, you might think you're in another website. But here we are teaching you how to arrange your story. A story must be logical. There must be, for example, for a wedding to take place, there must be dating, courtship, proposing, introduction. No, there's first a pre-visit, introduction, and then finally you wed. That's what we are saying, logical. Hey, Claire wants to present her side of how you can win her heart. Claire, come in. What are you saying? Or you are seated next to your mother and she's looking at you like, let me hear what you will say. Claire? Some of you have you're feared. I let you know what you want. Okay, God bless you. Back to business. So it should be logical, and each stage or each idea, we call them sequences, episodes. How many of you watch series? Ardent watchers of series. When you're watching a series, you will always have things arranged in episodes. Yes. So you find that an episode, like a story, we also have episodes. So you would make sure that each episode is independent of the other. So even that's what we call paragraphing when it comes to story writing. You must paragraph your work in such a way that they are in different episodes, or those ideas are presented in different paragraphs. For example, I don't expect you to mix the chasing after her number with the proposing. That cannot be one paragraph. So you'll arrange different ideas in different paragraphs. I hope you've understood how the body is built. Good. Then conclusion. This provides the climax. This provides the climax of the story. The climax usually, I remember drawing for you. Let me first clear this again. Clear this. I remember drawing something like this. For us in literature, we say a climax is somewhere here, where the story cannot, where your love has grown to a point where it cannot exceed that point. That's where it is. And it cannot go beyond that. That's the climax. Maybe that's the point where you propose. And the best story, you can never tell the ending. So maybe that's where she rejects you. After eating all your money, after buying her all the gifts, after giving you so much hope, the best stories always have an unexpected ending. And then boom, she tells you, no, I'm already engaged. Do I have someone else? Or the common statement Ugandan girls say, you are not my type. So that the common things are there. So as you grow, you learn these things. I'm not teaching you those things, but I'm only on the idea of the story. Back to business. So the climax eventually is part of the conclusion. What happens there? You sum up the argument. That's when now you begin drawing what we call logical conclusions. If you're being chased by the police, they're about to catch you. That's when you'll now do, either you choose to take yourself, submit yourself, hand yourself over to the police, or you choose to either run or do something. So the climax is around there. You sum up the story, you give the climax, and then the air of finality. Maybe if I'm to hint more on that, I would be able to say, as you're summing up your arguments, you're summarizing the key things. You're almost done with all the obstacles. You are now sure, you are almost certain of what will happen. That is now towards the end of your story. And then the climax is the most exciting point of a story. So make sure you describe it vividly. Give us the picture. Let us feed off your story. Let us not simply be reading, but we want to feel every part of your story. So under this, we emphasize a lot of description. All your adjectives must come to play. If you're eating a banana, I want to eat it with you. If you're touching something soft, flimsy, slippery, rough, I want to feel it as well. That means you're going to be able to do that. Yeah. If you're in the toilet and you're telling us that the smell is choking, we want to choke together. If you are eating something new and yummy, we want to also feel the taste of yummy. So all the five senses must come to play when we are writing our stories. So, and then the L, finality, here you show the reader that you are finishing by, so there are people who conclude their stories. There are people who conclude their stories differently. Others say conclusively, or others say at the end, the girl was taken by another man. All said and done, all hope is not lost. Now that is the real last statement, how you can be able to strike it. So I've fairly given you an introduction, but it is not enough to let you know how a story looks like. So I will still continue with you. I'll be giving you more and more on stories, especially on stories around, I'll be looking at different examples with time, because we have different types of stories. We have the narratives, we have the descriptives, all those. We shall be able to look at the different types and come up with something new. So I'm interested in, is that person who, okay, let me see, who is this? Someone wanted to show us the face. Okay, we have seen your face. Yeah, you are studying. I see you are all focused. Thank you. Back to business. So now I go to another part of a story. This is also very vital. Essentials of a good story. This is what I'll be concluding with. Then we shall look at an example. Essentials of a good story. The first thing is the choice of the topic. For example, here, students, imagine I wrote a story on agriculture. How many of you would read story on agriculture? About weeds, about weather. How many of you are interested in such topics? Now people are not putting up their hands. You don't want to read about weather? Okay, there is one person. Rachel, you want to read about weather?
It's both.
Rachel, what about weather do you love? She has even failed to unmute because she's lying.
No,
Rachel,
I'm not lying, sir.
You like reading about weather? If we gave you, Rachel, a love story and the story on weather, which one would you read first? Two novels.
About weather.
I beg your pardon?
A love story.
A love story, because that is a topic of interest. Even me, I think I would first read the topic of love and then I come back to weather, because as long as my heart is comfortable, I can learn other things. So what are we saying? When we are choosing a topic to write on, we ought to be very careful. You might write a story and after some time we give you to read about your own story and you cannot. You feel like you want to read another person's story. So the topic is very essential. Most of you at your age, the common topics that can interest you are around love, they're around movies, they're around, let's say, particularly good versus evil, they are on adventure, horror, Those are the topics that usually interest you. And no wonder the most commonly set areas or the most commonly studied areas around stories in O level, the first one is love. The second one is adventure. The other one is good versus evil. There are about 5. The other one is, I've already talked about adventure. The other one is, I've forgotten. There are about 5 common topics that you'll always reach, or rather you'll always meet. So choose your topic wisely when you're going to write a story. However, most times we dictate by the questions we give. Write a story ending, and then she left me. It could be your mother, but still that is love. It could be your fiancé, still that is love. So that's what we are saying. Then when you are planning and organizing your story, make sure that it is indeed organized. We call them sequences. Let your story be arranged in such a way that cause, effect. Because when a person wakes up at 8, we don't want again to see the person only in the evening, especially when he's the main character. We would have missed all the things in the middle there. So we expect you to align all your message in such a way that there is an account of every time of the main character. We want to be able to see in the morning, what did he do? He woke up. What happened? He went for breakfast. After that, maybe they went out. He was at work. He was maybe beaten by his boss. He was chased from his work. I'm sorry, I only have negative examples. I don't know why. Okay, maybe she left home. She went to work. She got a promotion. After that, she got money. She went and bought a car. There's some, that's the kind of planning. There should be reasonable connection between the first paragraph and the second paragraph. Also be relevant. The story should be relevant. The story should be something we can associate with. Don't write a story about Mars. I have never been there. So be relevant. Write stories around which people can associate with. Common everyday stories about rape, about torture, about promotions, about charge. Those are the common things that people can associate with. Then the choice of words. In a story, this is one of the most important. When you choose to tell me, I'm sorry, I'm always using the people I know. Let me, for example, use, what are the common names your parents called you at home?
Rachel.
They call you Rachel just. Okay.
Davis.
They call you Davis,
Teacher,
just
that's another
Davis.
person. Teacher.
Nachi.
Sweetheart.
They call you Nachi.
Sweetheart.
They call you sweetheart. Okay.
Yeah.
Another person.
Boo boo.
Boo. Your parent calls you boo boo. I need to investigate. There, for us, some of us, our mothers call us my rock.
Teacher.
Yes.
Cheeky.
Oh, they called you cheeky.
Yeah.
Cheeky, that means you're stubborn.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when you look at those words that you have used, cheeky, boo-boo, sweetheart, that is what we call choice of words. In our stories, we choose the best of the words to describe situations. We would not expect you to call your fiancé Rachel. We would not expect you to call your fiancé Liam. Liam visited me. We would expect you to use the apple of my eye, my gift, my this, nice words. I beg your pardon?
My life.
You know those words more than me now. Me, I'm old. I just call my wife my wife. But you people, you know those words. So when we're writing our stories, we choose the best words. Okay, Joel, thank you. We choose the best words that befit that person. If it is in the military, we need to see words like the commander. We don't want to see the chief, and yet the story is about military training, unless other words. So for every doc, use the appropriate vocabulary. If you're writing a story about the medical field, let us hear the common vocabulary there. You know, what are those common things in the hospital that are used? Also use them in your story. Don't just roll us through. You know, if you're in the supermarket, use the actual words that are there. So those are the things we talk about. The story length, don't write too much. Just 1 page is enough, or at most 1.5 or 1.25. Don't find yourself writing a story, especially for exam purposes. Don't find yourself writing a story of 10 or maybe 10 pages. That is too much. Just know you are writing now a bit of nonsense. However, when you're writing other things, you can grow your story beyond that. But for purposes of exam, 1.5 a page is fine. Sentence structure, don't write very long sentences. It is very hard for you to sustain. So usually we encourage short sentences or simple sentences that can be understood. Okay, I'm chasing time. Rereading. After writing your story, please make sure you reread your story. It's called proofreading. Don't just read and submit. Don't just write and submit. Reread. Make sure you verify your spellings. Most times you're penalized around spellings. So make sure you have the correct spellings, and then under paragraphing, we only use what we call indented paragraphs. Indented paragraph, so you leave space from the margin and then you come to the other one. Then punctuation, make sure we punctuate our work. Punctuation marks are very many. If it's a question, let it be question mark. If it's a full stop, if it's a semicolon, if it's maybe exclamation, use all the right punctuation marks to come to what we want. So I have tried really chasing time, but what I can promise you is I will always be posting work on our YouTube channel. I thank those who go there and watch and see. That channel will continue working throughout. So many teachers have talked about it. We shall continue. And we are seeing most of you are there, so we shall continue feeding you with work even after this program has ended. If you have any questions, you may ask. Mr. Dumba, do you want to run away?
Yes, Larry.
Okay, but you can maybe give me 5 minutes. You can let me be the host. I end it for all. I continue for 5 minutes, then you go. If that is okay. If it's not okay, you can let me know. We end it here. Okay. Liam.
Well, you are the host now, teacher Larry.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, I've seen. Thank you.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, Liam.
Yes, teacher. About a little back to the introduction, he told us that you can also introduce the weather. Like, for example, you can say,
introduce the weather.
Let me see. Yeah, let me give an example. Told us you can say.
Yeah.
He told us you can say the sky was blanketed with dark huge clouds, pregnant with rain. All you can say, with a splendid brilliant sun rays filtering through the window panes that created an aura of ecstasy. Something like that. So he told us that you can also introduce like that.
Yes. What you're doing is to give us what we call the atmosphere or the setting. Are we together? You can give us the setting of the place you are in. For example, you're waking up in the morning. Collins, God bless you too. Nachi and Collins, God bless you too. When you're introducing the environment, for example, if I was maybe captured and beaten by thieves. And then I wake up after collapsing. I have to describe the environment. Maybe I found myself in a dark room surrounded by nothing but silence. Then you can also give us your nose. What did it smell? Then you immediately go ahead and tell us maybe the smell of the area. How was it like? You tell us maybe the disgusting or sharp piercing smell or whatever it was. If you can be able to see something, you can be able to tell us maybe the reflection of maybe of the window enabled you maybe to access a view of something, only to realize I was in the underground tunnel. So you must give us a feel and a touch of that place. The channel is called Christian Schools Association. You go there, we shall keep posting. Even right now, this work is there. Teacher, I have a question about the online lesson. Davis Muronji, you want to say something? You can put up your hand or you can ask here. So our teacher told us that our story should be within 1 day. Now, I think what your teacher meant by the story should be in 1 day is don't make it so big. However, there is no way you can have all your story in 1 day, but it's possible to have your story in 1 day. For example, if you're writing about your experience at school, how can such a story be in 1 day? There is a day you entered school, there was a bad day, there was the good day, there was the sports day. All that is your experience. So it's very hard for a story to be in one day, unless you give me more insight into what you mean. But I think it's not possible for a story. But it is possible for it to be in 1 day. If you're writing about a particular incident, maybe the day you lost your father, sorry about that, or the day you lost your puppy, or your car, or whatever you like. Okay, thanks, teacher. You can explain very well. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate all those positive comments. We need them, especially in this COVID. So our teacher told us, okay, I've already answered that. And then finally, thank you so much for the interesting lesson. It's been very educative. May God bless you. God bless you all. You are good children. There were hands up here. I could take one and then I sign out. Moronji Davis, you want to explain something?
Yes, teacher. It's about the Edify lessons. On YouTube, will they be different or they will be the same as we have?
No, what we shall be doing is I will record a lesson of about 20 to, depending on the topic you would have. First of all, we shall keep interacting with you. You can ask me the challenging areas. Then I record a video, I post it on YouTube. Since we shall not be having live lessons of what is that? Of Zoom. But we can have them on YouTube. I post, and if you've subscribed, you will get a notification. Maybe this has been put there. Or every day you log in, we can choose to follow the same timetable that we post work at the exact time or on the exact day I was supposed to be teaching, so that we continue interacting. So I may explain, maybe, for example, after this, I'm supposed to give an example. So I will record a video explaining that example. And then I'll keep recording videos on different things. Like I have to teach you the different types of writing. Let's say the descriptive, the narrative, then there are those that have a mixture. So I will keep doing that on YouTube channel. All you have to do is log in every day. We shall continue learning. You can even leave questions under there. Then I pick those questions. I can either reply from within or I record another session and then I still get to you. Yes, Rachel?
Okay, teacher. I'm just asking whether if we first try to write it on our own and we send it to you.
That is also possible. You can also send to me direct if you've tried out a story before, or if you want to try a story, you can be able to share with me, and still I can be able to mark and gauge you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, otherwise, the lesson has already prolonged. Allow me say thank you all for attending. Thank you for the positive replies. We shall always continue interacting. JB has also woken up. Thanks, sir, for teaching. I thought JB had given up.
Thank you.
So explain for me on how we use idioms. I will record a session on idioms and post as well. Teacher, can I write my story on 2 pages? It will be too long. Begin with 1 page. When you master, then we continue. That's what we shall be doing. Is that okay? Let us begin with 1 and then we proceed to the rest.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay.
Thank you for the lesson.
All right.
Guys, good luck in your exams.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
teacher.
You're welcome.
Teacher, thank you.
Thanks.